She said, "I'm replacing you." He said, "Okay." Cheating wife stories audio story hello. She said I was boring. I was drinking my beer. I know the expression is crying in my beer, but I wasn't crying. I saw no reason to cry. I felt bad, no doubt, but it wasn't like I had anything to mourn. A man has no reason to mourn a woman who leaves him. Why cry when you can just replace her? Every day I hear women complaining about the lack of good men. Funny how often I've heard that all the good ones are either taken or gay. Meanwhile, my guy friends are suffering from a lack of women who can keep their promises. A lot of guys around here have been burned badly in divorces. Something is wrong. I guess people just don't see how good they really have it. It is wonderful to spend years with a partner and get to know every little quirk about your lover. No, I wasn't complaining that she wanted something else or even someone else. I lamented that she called me boring. I think she made me boring only to dump me for it. That's misleading. She didn't actually dump me. She just told me she was going to date someone else because I was boring. When I was younger, I loved adventure. I kayaked with my friends around the islands, off the coast, and in whitewater streams up in the mountains. Once I bypassed the island day trips in favor of a nice, long paddle to Long Island, 12 miles away. All I heard was that it was too far to be safe. I have done it several times without a problem. I like to go over and camp on the beach at a state park, then paddle back the next day. This was not the behavior of a husband and father in Karen's eyes. My family depended on me, and I shouldn't be taking unnecessary risks. Gone were backcountry skiing, my motorcycle, my little Triumph, Spitfire, scuba diving, mountain biking, and rock climbing. So, being the good dad that I was, I started skiing on carefully groomed slopes, not too steep, mind you. I'd put my dirt bike and Triumph in storage, traded my Softail mountain bike for a road bike, and joined a gym with a climbing wall. I drove a minivan. Yes, a minivan with forward siding. Yeah, I know, but I loved it. So screw her. After she tamed my recreation. Next came the demands of my job. She didn't like my travel. Most trips were for a day or two to negotiate deals. Occasionally I had to go to London or Hong Kong or wherever. I was good at making deals that either resulted in a solid acquisition or a lucrative sale for my company. She hated the international trips because they often lasted a couple of weeks. They always came with a nice bonus. So they were really good for our financial situation. But she hated that I was gone. When I became a partner, overnight travel dropped dramatically. I could fly to most domestic destinations, close the deal, and get home on the red eye. But it took me years to cut down on international travel. It was a catch. 22 travel a lot, make a lot of money, become a senior partner, train and manage negotiating teams to close deals for you. Pass on the travel. Let someone else do the traveling and bring home the bacon. Watch them pass you up the corporate ladder. No one wanted to pass me up for any reason. I played it smart. I managed to combine reasons to travel so that one trip could result in multiple kudos. For my hunt for partnership, I was the first in my company to use teleconferencing to do the legwork. I made sure to charter small jets for my team so we could maximize our time on the ground. It cost me some good chunks of my bonuses, but it was worth it in the long run as I climbed the corporate ladder. Karen was happier and everyone was safe. But damn it, I was bored. I gave everything to fit her priorities, and I'm boring WTF. So screw her. I figured, let her go find whatever excitement she's looking for. Meanwhile, I'm going back to the me I liked so much a long time ago. The me that had fun doing my thing. The me that defied gravity and flew off a muddy slope on a motocross weekend. The me that hopped on a helicopter to find fresh powder on a backcountry slope that took all day to ski. The me that went back to that same slope in the summer and climbed back up. She expected me to stay home and wait for her, remember that safety thing. Well, I was supposed to be on call to come help her if she got in trouble on her dates. Seriously. 25 years of marriage after 4 years of friendship and AD in school, and all this time I thought she was smart. Well, she wasn't. I didn't agree. I didn't want to be home for her, either on call or waiting. When she came home, talk about boring, all bets were off, all vows were off, along with forsaking, all others went to love, honor, cherish and obey. Well, she rejected that last one, and now I know why boring wouldn't matter if obey was in the mix. So I came home from work, changed into jeans and a sport shirt while she was in the shower, and dug out my old boots when she came out of the shower. She always liked me in boots, riding boots, hiking boots, western boots, dress boots. It didn't matter, but they all went out the window when I morphed into save me, or should I say boring me. I was redefined. I knew I looked good in the boots, though they fit as well as anything ever did. I had gained weight in those 25 years, but it was all upper body muscle. So I knew those boots looked even better now that I had shoulders and a man's chest, a dab of aftershave, and a great sport coat, and there was no doubt that I wasn't waiting for her. She wasn't pleased. "What are you doing tonight?" "Nothing, dressed like that. Who said boring couldn't have class?" I was out the door before she could answer, and on the way to my weekend, the minivan started right up, and its big 4-cylinder engine roared to life. Maybe it purred to life. All right, I can't fool you. The minivan sputtered and knocked its way into action. To its credit, it had sputtered up the driveway and turned towards town before Karen could get something on. I smirked as I saw her pop out of the front door in her robe. It wasn't long before my cell phone rang and I let it go to voicemail. I had prepared a new message just for the occasion. "Hi, this is Dale. I'm unable to come to the phone tonight because I'm either busy driving or being boring. If you need excitement, call my wife Karen at 55 for 1,269. She'll be happy to talk about me. Otherwise, leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But don't be surprised if that isn't real soon. Maybe Monday. Ciao. First stop. Get rid of this piece of crap van." I was sick of driving something with faux wood siding. I needed something rugged yet elegant. I'd settle for something with real wood siding, even like an old Willis wagon. It would look really good with the surfboard on top right. I couldn't find the right combination in old Willis Woody. I liked riding that now that I'm free from that old boring spirit-killing ball and chain. Oh, that felt good to say. So nothing that felt both elegant and rugged used to me and give up boring me. I would have stashed the checkbook from the money market account we used to save and gone home no ducking way. I was going home. I bought one of each, a sturdy car and an elegant car. The Mercedes dealer was happy to set me up with a fancy Trace convertible, the elegant M. Amos. Nothing is more elegant than a guy who drives a Mercedes convertible and knows how to say very elegant in French. I know I miss the accents, but I don't care. I'm no longer boring, and looking them up would have been waiting for it. You know it's getting boring. The dealer also had a great big-ass Jeep in his used car inventory, complete with mean-ass lifters, fat-ass hobby tires, bright as fog lights, and a great big loud as a train horn in addition to a dozen others. But she knew something was up. She could always read me. The next morning, I went to the shed and got out my old Spitfire. I had kept it there all these years. My brother had driven it from time to time to keep it roadworthy. I wasn't so lucky with the dirt bike, but I didn't have to start it to get it on the trailer by noon. I had the bike and the car on my trailer rig and a smile on Mom's face. "Will you tell me about it?" I was smiling too, Mom. 25 years of living your life Karen's way. You raised 3 kids while burying my son in minivans and bunny slopes. Suddenly you come to visit without your wife, driving a beast of a truck, wanting your sports car and motorcycle, and wearing those fine-looking boots. Like I said, Mom can read me like a book. I explained Karen's recent battle with insanity. "Maybe this girl is crazy, but you should thank her, honey. She set you free." Mom was right. Mom was always right. That night, I turned my phone back on Karen, and the kids had been calling and texting all day. I put the kids in a text group and responded, "I'm fine. I met Grandma, your mom, and I don't see eye to eye on something, and I decided I needed to think, so I went to visit. Old Dad is furious. She says you showed up, and she doesn't know why. I won't lie and I won't say why. It's not up to me to explain it to all of you. I'll just say that your mother has decided that I'm boring, so I'm doing something about it. She can tell you what she does. Jenny, Daddy, that's not like Mommy. She always plays it safe. She would never do anything to endanger you or our family. You should come home and make things right. Thank you for believing in me before you crucified me for this little episode. Why don't you get the truth out of your mother? Daniel, Dad, we're not blaming anyone. We just want you to know that we love you both and only want the best for you. Thank you, son. Let me know when you've spoken to your mother." I spent the night with Mom laughing at a cheesy old movie and was about to go to bed when my text alert went off. "Jenny, I'm sorry. Daddy, I can't believe Mommy went out with another man. What are you going to do to me? I'm going to live my life as I always have. I'm just not going to worry about your mom's rules for living, because if they really mattered, she would have followed the rules for marriage that we both agreed not to happen. Kids, she set me free. I can live as I choose." Daniel, hi Dad, I get it. Kiss Grandma for me, and when I come home next weekend I want to ride in the Spitfire. LOL. Yes, you read me as well as your Grand Ollie. You better believe it, and we're expecting a spring break ski vacation somewhere with a helicopter instead of a T-bar. What can I say? My kids knew the things I used to do, and the things I really loved. They saw pictures of me skiing and muddy from motocrossing. You can bet I'm thinking, get in shape. Backcountry trails are fun, but hard work is boring, she said. Sunday morning, Mom and I went to our favorite bagel shop. I stayed and helped her with some chores around the house. My phone didn't text me about lunch and I laughed at the angry text from Karen. They had delivered my Mercedes. They had locked the keys inside since I had the spare. All she could do was look at it, and it was blocking her car in the garage. I'd have to give the delivery team an extra tip for that. I went home. Karen's car was there. I backed the Jeep into my driveway, parked it, jumped in my new Mercedes, and drove off, giggling as Karen ran out and tried to stop me. Now she could look at my new Jeep with its trailer load of her double nemesis, my Spitfire, and my Kawasaki and think, at least her side of the garage was free and she could get out. Maybe she'd leave right away, too bored to go home. I went to a mall to buy enough clothes for a few days, then checked into the Hyatt near my office. I took the penthouse. I hadn't earned all those bonuses over the years for nothing. I slept well. The next day, I went to work as usual and told my team that I was going on the next trip, a junket to Hong Kong that involved 160 acres of prime industrial real estate. Negotiations had stalled, and this seemed like a good time for me to flex some boss muscle. My team was thrilled. They had lined up 3 other potential acquisitions to look at while they were there. Why wait? I asked them as they showed me their preliminary studies on the sites we were going to look at, but be ready to buy. Alert our counsel over there. We are coming in guns hot, and they need to be ready to crank out some serious paperwork for at least a month. Guys, if you can't do that, make plans to tag team with members of Ian's group. Feel free to fly your families over to see you at least once while you're gone. I don't want any divorces because of this push. As a matter of fact, I'll pay for hotel airfare and expenses for them to come along the whole time. If you want, I'll go sightseeing in the spring. I want you happy, hungry, and effective for a month, boss. Maybe more. I plan to visit Sydney through this hotel group in Buenos Aires. Before we come back, I'm sending Anna to SA POW in Mumbai while we're in Hong Kong. We have a unique opportunity to make some serious money here. Nice to see you back down low, Carter Douglas, my airline parent, as a hot negotiator, grinned at me. I grinned back and grabbed my favorite numbers. Fanatic at the elbow. Kim. A word with you, please. I ushered her into my office and instructed my secretary to hold my calls, especially for my wife. She nodded, and I closed the door behind Kim and me. This is your big chance, Kim. We're going to work fast with no margin for error. Most of what we buy we will sell right after we get home. Every purchase or sale has to go smoothly and on time. Some of our purchases are junk, but will be attractive to sellers who have things we want. So we will unload some to get others. We will also make some stops to open new markets for some of our product lines. These are not going to be deals that will benefit you in the short term, but they will be long-term profits that will open the eyes of the other partners, the people that will move you from this junior partner position to something much more lucrative. This is your big moment, so I want you to be around 24/7 and ready to back up any argument or claim I make before and make it 24/7. Does this mean I smiled at Karen dating other guys? Does that mean I get to sleep? My way to a partnership. One woman betraying me at a time is one too many. You'll have to work your way up like everyone else. You know you want me. It was true. She was a walking wet dream, slender and vibrant, with legs that curved only where they should. Beneath that luscious butt and those plunging necklines were constant reminders of how creamy and soft her delicious mangoes looked. Indeed, but you work for me. So no, not going to happen, but you are going to be at my beck and call on this trip. You will pick me up in a limo Friday morning dressed as sexy as you can, even though I don't want my wife to worry that I'm sleeping with you when you arrive. Come to my door to pick me up when you order the Lee ask for Jan to drive, and tell her I need her to wear the uniform with the short shorts. I want my wife to be jealous as hell when I leave. My team was motivated. My wife was excited to see me. My kids were mad at my wife. Kim was horny. Not for me, but for the promotion. Well, maybe for me too, but I had drawn the line in the sand. I went to the airport to rent a plane. I thought maybe I'd jump out of one. Don't be silly. I wasn't going to kill myself by going back to being the thrill seeker I had been in my youth. I had to get off my butt and get a dose of adrenaline. It was awesome. I borrowed the cameras from the kids' texts. Karen raved. The kids raved nice served the real me was back boring. She said I really didn't want to see Karen, so I snuck home while she was at work and packed my stuff. I went to the airport and caught a late flight to Chicago. There was no pressing reason to go, but I had some prospects on the back burner. This might come in handy. It turned out to be a profitable couple of days and kept me out of Karen's reach until the big trip. I got home very late Thursday night and the house was dark. She finally came home at 2 o'clock in the morning and didn't even know I was there. Luckily, she was alone. I would have had to confront her about bringing her toy boys into my house, but this way I didn't have to see her until I was ready. I was also charged for this. I was up early and had my refreshed luggage packed by the door. I made myself a manly breakfast of steak and eggs and had ZZ Top on the stereo in the kitchen. I was wearing a perfectly fitting pair of casual gabardine slacks with a new stylish sports shirt that Ken had never seen before. Dressy comfort seemed perfect for the 18-hour trek to Asia. Karen made her way down the stairs, drawn by the smell of my coffee. I make great coffee. Yours sucked. Oh my God, Dale, you're home, honey? Why didn't you return my calls? Yeah, the kids told me you were worried. No need, I'm fine. I'm just doing what I want to do. Oh no, you're not, mister. I have a better explanation than that. It's a perfect explanation. Last week you told me you were going to do whatever you wanted and I couldn't stop you. So I figured if wife dear is going to do what she wants, I might as well do the same. If it's the newest, I can live with it. I never said you could do whatever you wanted. I said I would date other men. Okay, I get it, but I didn't want to, so here goes. If you can make such a big decision in spite of my wishes, there is no reason for me to consult you on mine. There is certainly a reason that you have a family to be responsible for. A husband and father has no reason to ride around on a motorcycle or race little sports cars. I thought we worked this out years ago. We did, but we also got older and our situation changed. Kay and I gave up all those things for you and the kids. I drove a minivan, for God's sake. I skied bunny slopes with the family. I hadn't jumped out of an airplane in years, until this week when you told me I was boring. That's because I was bored. Now the kids are gone. They have huge college funds to finish school, and here's a big surprise. Neither you nor they know about. They each have a trust fund that will mature when they graduate from college, enough money to go to graduate school and put a down payment on a nice house wherever they live. Face it, the kids are going to be fine no matter what happens to me or you. So if this thing doesn't open and I die doing something great, I'm going to die with a smile on my face, and they're going to be fine, and I'm going to be fine. You know, I have a stake in your future too. You have a wife, Karen. I hate to break it to you, but no, I don't think I'm going to do what I'm doing now just to hang on to Dale. That's a pretty big leap. We just started exploring this whole thing, and you think I don't think anything. I know I don't mean that much to you anymore. If I did, you would never have given me this ultimatum. You think I'm boring, okay, that's easy to give up. I have fun too. The doorbell rang just in time to save me from another salvo. In this ridiculous discourse, JY stepped in with Kim right behind her. The two of them brought in 4 of the best legs you've ever seen. Did I mention how good I looked in gabardine? I looked even better with a 10 in my gabardine. Jen greeted me with a hug and a kiss and started carrying my 4 suitcases to the limo. Kim handed me a file and started rattling off numbers about where we were in our negotiations. She rattled off the project names and locations that had Karen's full attention: Hong Kong, Sydney, Buenos Aires, Aries. How long will you be gone? A few months. I expect you to have plenty of time to explore before you get too old. But do me a favor, don't let her in the house. Karen launched into a series of pleas that would have made a public television Tatha proud. She had reason after reason that I needed to stay and that we needed to talk about how our relationship had developed and where we were going. I stopped her there. Honey, wrong tense. Our relationship isn't going anywhere. It's over, and right now, I'll see you in a few weeks. I didn't hear a word of her gibberish as we walked out to the car, but I managed to crack a smile at what she said when she noticed my Jeep, my Spitfire, and my convertible parked in front of the garage doors, all 3 garage doors, including the door behind which her car was lurking. Of course, what she said was too dirty for me to write here. Hong Kong was fantastic. Kim was in the suite next to mine, so she was there 24/7, but only in a good business-like way, as we both agreed. She was hot on the numbers, and we managed to close all the deals we expected and set up others for follow-up teams to come back in a month and close. We were also quite successful in Australia and ended up with an agreement in principle to acquire the entire hotel group again. A closing team would have to return in a month. We scouted additional acquisitions and went back to Argentina. I was able to reach agreement with a motivated seller, and the team was able to put other projects on our corporate radar. All the while, I remained pursued and true to my marriage vows, hoping upon hope to return home to find a desperate Karen in need of reconciliation. Yes, Karen may have gone a little crazy, but I still love the crazy woman. I really wasn't ready to throw her back, so I took her ultimatum as a declaration of an open marriage. So we stay married, but screw everybody. We want no problems. Carrie Moore was an old friend from college who had become a professional shopper for rich tourists in Hong Kong. She spent a day taking my team around town, shopping in the famous markets. She sent me to a fine tailor before our 12 days in the city were up. I left for Sydney with several new suits made to order, and we spent the night screwing each other senseless. She was just what I needed. A woman. I trusted a classy hotel suite in an exotic city. An unbridled lust. I felt guilty for about 10 minutes, as long as it took me to remember. Karen wrote the rules. I was now using boring. She said I realized that I had never been boring. But I had been bored. Carrie wasn't boring, and by the way her body quivered and shook when she climaxed, I could tell she wasn't bored with me. When we broke camp in Hong Kong and moved to Sydney, we hired a tour guide named Sydney. I enjoyed the sheer delight of touring the beautiful city by day and the willowy, brown-haired beauty by night. I'm not being redundant when I say I enjoyed being in Sydney. Rio was an equally goal-oriented business environment. We didn't do quite as well as our foray into Asia or Australia, but we managed to justify another month abroad. Speaking of abroad, I met a hot Latin divorcee who taught me a thing or two about tango, both upright and horizontal in bed. As we wrapped up our business, I sent my team home one by one on commercial first-class flights. A few days later, I took a leased jet on which the flight attendant screamed her orgasm in several languages, and when she came on to me with her 6th language in 3 nights, I decided that her translation skills would be a valuable asset to our growing international interests. Of course, hiring her meant no more sleeping together. My business ethics were not thrown out the window when my cheating wife threw our marital ethics in the trash. Besides, the weekend at B's was almost over anyway. We flew home a few days before Christmas. The kids went home to their mother, and I checked into a hotel near work. I didn't want to deal with Karen and jet lag, but at the same time I managed to buy a condo as a Christmas present to myself and went to spend Christmas with my wife and kids. My cars were still parked outside the garage. There was a little Cooper convertible parked in front of my Spitfire. I was sure Karen would be pissed, but she wasn't. She greeted me as if nothing had happened. Maybe I wasn't boring her anymore. I made Christmas, enjoyed her feast, helped with the dishes, and took the obligatory garbage out to the garage. I moved the Mercedes and the Spitfire to their bases. Then I left in my Jeep. The phone rang. I was hoping we could both enjoy a Christmas truce. We did. You could stay a few days for the kids' sake. I did. The day after Christmas, I slept in the guest room. I took the cars one by one to be washed. Leaving them out in the weather for 4 months might not have been the best move for the cars, even if it had been a daily reminder to Karen that things had changed. I parked the Spitfire in the garage, intending to keep both the Jeep and the Mercedes in the condo. The second day after Christmas, Karen reopened the hostilities. Her boyfriend came over for lunch. She smiled smugly. I went upstairs, grabbed my bag, and returned to full war. The kids were furious with Karen, and she was unprepared for their anger. I guess she saw things differently. Maybe she had to accept that it was Christmas. I stopped them to say goodbye, and they did. Instead, we threw their bags in the Jeep and headed downtown. There was a lot to do in the city for New Year's, and we wanted to have some fun. We did museums during the day and clubs at night. Both kids had friends nearby, so all 3 of us got a chance to hang out together or separate. I also got some alone time that I didn't spend alone. Until I went back to work. I had listened to enough music, visited enough museums, eaten enough fine food, and drunk enough fine wine and whiskey. To last a lifetime, I settled into a routine that wasn't routine. My assault on the Southern Hemisphere that fall had given me new stature in the company, but it had also attracted the attention of our competitors. I was actively courted by other comp compiles, who were impressed by our sudden flexing of muscles. I didn't hide this fact from my team. In fact, I told them that when I left, I would take them with me. Of course, word of what was brewing spread to the senior partners. I was called into the boss's office. Karen's grandfather had started this company, and her father had built it into a diversified giant. It included a number of manufacturing companies. I had been hired when I married Karen and started as a low-level analyst, which was a perfect match for my education. I was given nothing special, and even signed a prep to prevent me from ever laying claim to Karen's eventual inheritance of the company, which was still almost entirely owned by her father. I got along well with Mr. Adams, but we were not particularly friendly. He preferred to remain personally aloof from his employees, even his son-in-law. At first I found this odd, but as I rose through the ranks, I realized how it allowed him to avoid favoritism and adopted the same attitude. So I refused to sleep with Kim or even play golf with my partners. Business is business, so I wasn't surprised when Adams cut right to the chase. Business is business. It seems that a lot has changed for you in the last few months. You've been doing quite well at work, but you seem to have lost a battle or two with my daughter. Should I be worried about you? I leaned back in the padded chair in front of his desk. I knew the psychology of a short chair in front of the desk and a tall chair behind, towering over an opponent, is a dominant position. I guess you never saw those movies where the downed swordsman thrust upward into the exposed soft underbelly of the dominant warrior as he winds up for the final killing blow. Yes, sir, you have. After 25 years at this firm, I'm still a lowly junior partner. I have grown more business into the last 5 years than any other manager, and my Asian blitz this past year was unprecedented. My earned bonus was accordingly higher than any other employee, including your division presidents. Yet I'm a junior partner here, so I'm thinking of taking the standard severance package and moving on, Dale. I can't promote you. like anybody else. You're my son-in-law. How would that look? I understand that business is business, but it goes both ways. Business is business. For me, that means taking an offer that reflects my ability. I can be a full partner at Woodford Unlimited or Mark Manufacturing tomorrow. I would expect some loyalty from my son-in-law Slick. Business is business when you're holding me back, but when it suddenly benefits you, loyalty is important. While we're on the subject of family loyalty, I wonder if you'd be willing to talk about what you did to teach your daughter that lesson because you failed Dale. I'm sorry. That's another thing. Why are you Mr. Adams and I'm Dale? Business is business. I deserve the same level of respect you expect. Very well, Mr. Carter, it is Dr. Carter. I am aware of my daughter's actions, and I am not pleased that we have spoken, to say the least. And well, she is not speaking to me at the moment. My philosophy sucks. I broke in to finish his thought. To him, your philosophy of loyalty is completely out of sync with the rest of the world. Your business is business thing is just an easy way to deal with a workforce that sees you as a cold-hearted boss with the personality of a dead fish. Tell me, is it wise to keep your top producer down just because he is your son-in-law? I don't see much reason not to peddle my skills to another company, long story short. The arrogant son of a witch told me to go ahead and do my worst. I did that by the end of the day. Everyone on my team, as well as Ian and his team, had tendered their resignations. Never in your life have you seen someone back down so quickly. Senior partnership for me, with a significant raises for both of our teams, and the creation of a mergers and acquisitions department just for us. With my professional and financial future secured, I turned my attention to my personal life. I rode my bike on wild trails and dirt tracks alike. I even raced motocross. I rode my mountain bike downhill and got muddy. I looked good muddy and tired and played with a couple of biker chicks who thought it was hot. One was a Harley girl who liked my style on the motocross and thought I was pretty hot on the jumps for an old guy. Then she told me to call her when I got something bigger than my dirt bike between my legs. I told her whatever was between my legs was gonna need more than 2 wheels as I loaded my bike onto the rig behind my beast Jeep. She paired the Harley with my Kawasaki, and we spent the night debating the merits of nimbleness or raw power in our crotch rockets. Yes, we compared bikes between sweaty, sticky moans and rocket maneuvers. I skied more than B. I skied Tuckerman's, and when the summer heat closed that venerable run on Mount Washington, I found some excellent adrenaline-pumping runs and glaciers in the Pyrenees. It's fun to see half-naked women basking in the sun at a high-altitude lodge next to a snow-covered slope, and it's even more fun to watch them strip off the rest of their clothes later in your hotel room. I did enough tandem jumps from a perfectly good airplane to qualify to jump solo. So I did. That same instructor called me. I didn't block her number, I just didn't answer it. She tried to catch me at work, even using her father to demand my presence so we could talk. He didn't try that again after I threatened to defect to the Woodfords. If he ever tried it again, he had to restrain her so I could leave without her harassing me. Some people's children. Then the full court press began. Aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, pets, and grocery boys all seemed to be in favor of giving her another chance. Everyone makes mistakes, you know? So I put them in my shoes. I told the women to take off their clothes and lie down right where they were, then spread their legs and get ready for me to rock their world. After all, if mistakes like that were so easy to make, so easy to consider, and so easy to forgive, I should be able to make a few of my own, and I might as well start with someone who understood the process so well. I told the men to bring me their wives, girlfriends, mothers, or old daughters for the same reason. They were a little shocked, but they understood my point. I'm sure some of them would never speak to me again. That's not a bad thing, but I was tired of the dim shop advice, and it was getting me down, so I left. I took my team back on the road. They were excited because they had a blast on our first raid where we bought Asia and Argentina. This time we did Brazil and Argentina. Then we came back to Hong Kong. We did so well. We rented space and opened the company's first international office in Asia. Karen's dear daddy had no objection, since we had made enough rain there to require an ongoing presence. So guess who was named Vice President of Operations for the Southern Hemisphere? Yours truly. I installed Ian in Argentina and Kim in Australia, and our division's business took off. I never went home. Karen wanted to follow me, but the kids were talking to her. I didn't want her, and somehow she accepted that. I sent the Spitfire back to the mothers with the motorcycle. I gave the Jeep to my son and the Mercedes to my daughter. I gave Karen a divorce and Carrie an engagement ring, yes. I had no intention of spending the best years of my life alone. I wanted a good woman by my side. Plus, she loves to skydive. So I got it all: adrenaline, a happy home, a fresh start, my integrity, and a bunch of money. Damn it, it's there to be made in my new part of the world. If Karen had just come to me and said, "I'm bored, let's find something new and exciting in our lives," I would have been thrilled. I was bored too. We could have gone skiing together. It would have been a rush. Teaching her and taking her with us. We could have traveled. We could have safely rafted rivers or ziplined through Cambodia with little risk and a lot of exhilaration. I would have done anything for her until she threw me over for someone else. I couldn't take that. I hear she is very unhappy with the dating scene. She finds the available guys lacking. She is jealous of the fact that her father loves the hell out of me for moving away from her because we are making his company obscene amounts of money. She regrets what she did, but knows she can't go back. Carrie makes sure of that. Anything she gets in a helicopter with ski boots on or straps on a parachute. But my ultimate adrenaline rush is going to bed with her every night. There's nothing Carrie won't do in bed, and nothing she hasn't enjoyed. I know I've done it with her because once we've done it, she wants to do it again. This never happened with Karen, even when we were young and things were good, but we have never spoken since that day. Her dad had to hold her down so I could leave and attacked her. I'm sure she would like to talk, but she knows how little I want anything to do with her. Someday, I suppose, one of the children will get married or have a grandchild who will want to meet Karen. I'm sure she'll be there, and I'll finally have to interact with her, but I'm not worried. When that time comes, my Carrie will be by my side. No, she won't have to protect me. She'll be there to make sure I'm not too boring or bored. Listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.